So here's what we've got. Washington Post is laying people off. ICE is going to reduce by 700 people. Dear Lord, what is going on with Savannah Guthrie's mother? The story is insane. And the left has had a very bad week. Me, I'm just losing my voice from the cold. I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz Today. Let's begin. 700 people, ICE agents, being removed from Minneapolis. Well, I guess the left has won. Is that our argument? Tony Katz. Tony Katz Today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. Tom Homan, in his own words.
Given this increase in unprecedented collaboration, and as a result of the need for less law enforcement officers to do this work in a safer environment, I have announced effective immediately, we will draw down 700 people effective today. 700 law enforcement personnel. We have also fully integrated CBP personnel into the ICRO team structure under one unified chain of command. Not two chains of command, there'd be one chain of command here. Any large enforcement operation I've ever been involved with, there's one chain of command, and that's where we're moving forward.
So they made some changes. So they're reducing by 700. This is everything that the left wanted. This is happening because, as Tom Homan, the borders are explained, local law enforcement, state law enforcement will now be assisting. They will be saying, hey, these are the people who are in courts for violations. Here are the people that we know about. Here, everything that the Trump administration has been asking for, just hand over the criminals. That seems to now be happening. That's a pretty big move. And one that the political left is going to be infuriated with. Because the political left has no interest in working with Tom Homan or the political right. None, less than none. They only have an interest in seeing their enemy destroyed. You and I have a much different interest. So when I view these people as un-American, it's not that some of them aren't born in America and are actually Americans. It is that from a place of ideas and ideals, the very concepts of buying into and believing in the social contract and not trying to usurp law enforcement to protect people here illegally. Yeah, I don't think those people are American at all. And I don't think they believe in the same America you and I do. Now, I should at this moment remind you that if I sound weird, it is not your radio. The cold now wants the voice. Can't have it. But man, is it putting up a fight. So it's just me. Fine. We all get colds. We all go to work. No questions, no issues. It's just, that's what it is. The announcement of the drawdown of 700 agents. The announcement, of course, as we knew earlier this week, of body cameras. The announcement of changing the chain of command. These are all good things. No one should have ever been opposed to any change of tactic, nor any change that would allow for a better approach to the situation. What is the situation? We have people in the United States illegally, and they need to be removed. End of list. And we have people engaged in trying to intimidate law enforcement, attack law enforcement, harm law enforcement. They have been impeding. They have been engaging with law enforcement, and they are a problem. Alex Preddy and Renee Good lost their lives. Renee Good drove at a law enforcement officer. People can say no, the video is there. If she had not skidded out on that ice, I think she would have hit more than one law enforcement officer. Alex Preddy was known to law enforcement, was known to be an agitator, Both him and Renee Good were part of these signal chats and other organized groups meant to try and harm ICE agents, prevent them from doing their job, supporting people here illegally, giving aid and comfort to people here illegally. Alex Preddy was screaming at ICE agents, spit on ICE agents' vehicles, broke an ICE vehicle tail light, and then a week later was still involved in agitating. Now, in both the cases of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, let the investigations commence. I can't tell you if they were good shoots. I don't care what somebody on social media says. Who gives a good holy damn what someone says on social media? Bunch of freaks on social media. They don't know anything. I'll take the investigation. People can have opinions, but opinions don't move me. They don't. The data moves me. But that we know that these people are agitators, that they are organized, that they are funded, and their focus is to try and prevent law enforcement from doing their job, they need to be arrested. And they need to be arrested with force if necessary. When you see 700 agents roll down, what is it? What is the proper term? There's a term for it. That are going to be moved out, drawn down. Sorry, I said rolled down, drawn down. Okay. If they're not necessary, why have them there? That's a great question. I believe that you need oftentimes a show of force, but if you don't need everybody, well, don't have them there. Have them in other places. Columbus, Ohio, Indianapolis, Indiana, Little Rock, Arkansas, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Orlando, Florida. Where else are they needed? Go send them there and let them do the job there. Body cameras. Great. Let's see what all of these people that ICE is engaged with are doing wrong, doing that is illegal. Let's see their violent acts right there on the camera. If an ICE agent is involved in doing something immoral or illegal, doing something violating the rules, well, then, my gosh, retrain or remove. Absolutely. We are rational people. And what we want is the end result. We want people here legally removed. We want those trying to interfere arrested. And we want some peace. The left doesn't see it the way we see it. So when we, the rational people, see them bring down their forces and now we're going to see law enforcement working with ICE, we say, good. Good, good, good. Just keep at it. And Tom Homan was clear that they are going to keep at it. They are never going to stop. It's the left that can't handle this. You can argue, well, if Tom Homan and ICE isn't going to stop, the left is going to continue because, of course, their entire raison d'etre is to be anti-ICE or anti-whatever it is the thing is at the moment. They're just always anti-Trump all times, at all times. And when you're always anti-Trump, nothing Trump does can be good. But in this situation, what will most upset the political left is that it is possible now that law enforcement is working with ICE, that local law enforcement is working with ICE. And that's not what the left wants. The left doesn't want that in the slightest. They want to keep up the fight. They want to keep up the anger. They want to keep up the vitriol. Because when it comes to the organized groups, they're not looking for a better America. They're looking for an America that is over. We're through the looking glass. We have been through this before. No one is going to sit here and tell us that they're just upset with ICE tactics and then they would stop. No. These are the same people that are Antifa. These are the same people who went about the destruction of post-George Floyd. These are the same people looking for a reason. They're funded and they're organized. And that has nothing to do with ICE. It has to do with being pro-Marxist and anti-American. We see this. We know this. Let people complain and caterwaul and moan and kvetch and do all the rest. We know. I call them un-American for a reason. I apologize for nothing. And when you see ICE working with local law enforcement, they're going to go after local law enforcement like it's their job. You're not allowed to work with ICE. You're not allowed to work with these Nazis. Remember, everyone they don't like is a Nazi, and anybody associated with Trump is a Nazi. So therefore, ICE are Nazis. And now you're going to have local law enforcement under the direction of the mayor, Jacob Frey, under the direction of the governor, Tim Walz, working with them. You can't work with these Nazis. And the left is going to lose their minds. That's the problem with being on the left. There's never a moment where you're allowed an independent thought. Independent thought will be crushed. It's not allowed. You're not allowed to say, well, I agree on this, and I don't agree on that. All I know is I agree with President Trump on a great number of things. I disagree on some other things. Still doing this show. Still engaged with you. Big tent. You can have more than one thought in your head at one time. It's not true of the left. The left requires, demands absolute fealty at all times. Absolute, complete, and total fealty. You may never divert from the path. Diverting from the path will have you put in room 101 if you're lucky. And for those people who don't know what I'm talking about, it's not the cigar. You may want to read a book. Oh, the left is going to be so angry. The left is going to be so angry that locals are working with Tom Homan. And by the way, we should also be clear that Homan said of the investigation into fraud, we ain't going no place.
Numerical, just clarification, I think is my main question, please. So 700 leaving effective immediately. How many will that
Quiet
leave
question.
here once
Question's being
that's
asked right
revealed?
now.
Right around 2,000.
And what is the pre-operation footprint?
Well, that 150.
Oh, sorry. Just some bad audio right there. I thought that clip was better. The investigation into the daycare centers and everything else, it continues. And so it should. Millions, if not billions of dollars are being stolen, not just in Minneapolis, but across the country. The fraud is massive. Of course, we need to keep looking into it. And of course, we need to find the people engaged in it, and they have to be arrested. And if they're American citizens, they have to be charged. And if they're not American citizens, they have to be deported, never to come back. And if they're not here legally, or even if they are here legally, if they're not American citizens, deport, including their kids. Don't care. Don't care. If you want to have a conversation about dreamers or other kids who are brought to the U.S., out of no fault of their own, and what we do with them, that's a solid conversation. I know that if you have a parent who was involved in tax evasion, and the IRS comes and arrests dad, they don't care what happens to the kids. They're going to take the money. The kid's going to have to figure it out. Nobody says, hey, the kids, they didn't do anything wrong, so they still get to keep the money to buy Xboxes or whatever it is. It's not the way it works. I don't want to hear it. I want everybody involved with the fraud arrested or gone. And that's not just in Minneapolis. That's all across the country. Because this fraud is taking place all across the country. In no way, shape, or form should ICE slow down. No way, shape, or form should the fraud investigations slow down. And let's be clear that the American people are proactively with getting the criminal element off the street and putting an end to the illegal immigration. This, written by John Phelan, this is from KSTP, a poll they did. So that's local to Minneapolis. Minnesotans favor local law enforcement helping federal immigration authorities by 14 points. 14 points. Funny, that came out just yesterday, and here we are today with this announcement from Homan. This is the start of a story about how the hard-edged political left, the elected leadership of the left, Chuck Schumer, Ayanna Pressley, Ocasio-Cortez, the bigot Ilhan Omar, the bigot Rashida Tlaib, the bigot Andre Carson, a host of others. Oh, he supports the bigots. They're all on the losing side. They're on the losing side when it comes to deportations. They're on the loser side when it comes to abusing children via surgeries to mutilate them. What they would call gender affirming care. What a fraud that is. And they're on the wrong side and on the losing side of voter ID. A bad week for the left and a good week for common sense. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Guys, welcome back. Tony Katz, good to be with you. Oh, this freaking cold. It's the kind of thing where it's I far be it for me to complain. Everybody's got their things, right? It's just a cold. It's just annoying. If I didn't talk for a living, this wouldn't be so bad. But the head is cloudy and the blowing my nose, and now the whatever this is, the voice. I don't think I sound good throaty. Some people do. I don't think that's for me. So yeah, no cigar, which of course is always an impediment to happiness. So wait, what do you mean tea and toast? Toast. First of all, tea is disgusting. Secondly, it is not long COVID. Stop being dumb. Stop it. But I don't know what's up with the tea and toast thing. I don't know what that is. Now, as for hot toddy, I've got that recipe in my book, Let's Go Bourbon. Wrote a book, Let's Go Bourbon. You should get that. Amazon, Let's Go Bourbon. Not while I'm doing the show. So I have some water, and I think I have a Sprite Zero. Just need a little bubbly thing. Someone just said that they sound like Tiny Tim when throaty. That is not a good look, nor a good sound. So the shutdown's over. The shutdown is over, except that we're still going to be in a place where it's a discussion of funding immigrations and customs enforcement. And what the Democrats are saying, as we just said moments ago, what they're saying is, we have no plans of pretending to think that we should work together. This is Patty Murray of Washington State speaking in front of members of the House and the Senate.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Speaker, I did not come from Brooklyn, nor did I come from the House, but I did come here as a mom in tennis shoes who today is very angry about what is happening to families in my community and across the country.
By the way, did she just refer to Hakeem Jeffries as Mr. Speaker? Because he is not, and let's keep it that way.
Everyone in America with eyes and ears can see what's been happening in Minnesota and across the country. The injustice is clear as day, and what the American people are demanding is equally clear. Law enforcement cannot be lawless. But
True. Law enforcement cannot be lawless. Neither can the people who are engaged in the violent attacks. This is just a reminder that everything we just discussed is absolutely happening. The last thing the left wants to do, is say people here illegally have to go. No, it's that anybody who is bothering people here illegally is the problem. They support the illegal immigrant. So when you take a look at the shutdown being over, I mean, it's great. Terrific. I don't ever get worked up about shutdowns. I refuse to do that. This was 4 days. It was a partial shutdown. And the only thing I could say that I like is that instead of having this as one big omnibus bill, you passed it separately. Maybe we got a little more clarity. Maybe we're setting a bit of a precedent of, hey, we need this legislation for this purpose. Let's talk about this legislation. Let's not just put it all together and people end up voting for it because, well, they got to get this one thing over here and they'll swallow all this other garbage over here. I think it's a terrible idea. We shouldn't want that. What we should want is to be able to discuss what it is that's affecting us, the people. What they want is the absolute defunding not only of ICE, but they want to dismantle DHS and allow me, okay, you want to get rid of the Department of Homeland Security? Fine by me. Terrific. Great. We're also getting rid of the Department of Education because the Department of Education has harmed far more people than the Department of Homeland Security. It has destroyed more lives. And I say that even understanding Renee Good and Alex Preddy. I said it. I meant it. I will not back down from it. Because Alex Preddy and Renee Good were involved in being in a violence confrontation. They were involved in being in places where they should not have been. They were involved in impeding law enforcement and created the situation that led to their deaths. There is no doubt about that. Should they be dead is a different subject. But what they've done with education is slowly destroy the American fabric, slowly destroy the American student, work on slowly destroying the American family, and it is unforgivable. Unforgivable. So if we want to get rid of agencies, I'm all in. Homeland Security, other people can do this job. Other organizations, other agencies. Department of Education, we don't even need it at all. Bring it all back to the states. Easy. Now, what else can we get rid of? Keep it here. It's Tony Katz today. Why is it so difficult to watch Eat, Drink, Smoke on YouTube? I don't know what you mean. What's the issue? Is it the segments? Is it something else? You tell me. Hey, producer Landon, do you hear that humming? Okay. I think it is my, I think it's the fan for the AC unit outside, but it's not, it hasn't had a problem before. It's almost sounds like it's a bit frozen up, but I don't know how that would be. Ah, yeah, well, no one's mowing right now. Hold on, I'm being yelled at by someone who I don't know. They're very upset that I've talked about the left as militia cells. And they're organized, they're paid for, they're interested in destruction. Why shouldn't I refer to them as what they are? Yell at me all you want. It doesn't matter. No, the fan. I meant the can outside. No, the AC is not on. The heat is on. Install Substack. So okay. So we moved Eat, Drink, Smoke, my cigar and bourbon show. We moved the website to Substack. It is so much easier to work with. It is so much more enjoyable. It's a much better overall experience. Now, the podcast, you still get the podcast, and we do have videos up. We've got, of course, the YouTube channel. Just go to Eat, Drink, Smoke. You can watch old episodes, but not live shows. We don't stream the show live. We don't do Eat, Drink, Smoke live. We may end up doing some live things, but we don't do the actual show live because of how we have to record it for radio. So maybe that's it. Hope that answers the question. And if not, I don't know what to say. But we're trying to do a little less talking in the breaks because of the cold. Oh, the voice feels it. Feels it. Let me get to this right here. That's that. Yep. As I've said, it's been a bad week for the left. Because everything that, for example, you and I have been discussing for the past couple of years, all these places where we have taken on these attacks, this name calling, when we said, for example, boys are not girls and girls are not boys and they never will be. When we said that the concept of gender affirming care is a fraud, it's a cover used to attack children, to mutilate children. And the people who do this are abusers, whether they're the doctors or anybody in the political world, in the legislative world, who votes for laws or regulations that say children can do what they want and parents don't have a say, and that if parents don't agree, well then, the child gets taken away. This clear push that we have seen, this very clear push to try and separate the child from the parents, to give children agency. Tony Katz today, good to be with you. You understand that that's what it has always been about. Every single move made by the left that says, well, a child doesn't have to tell the parent when they're getting an abortion. A child should be able to decide their own gender. How dare you say otherwise? Is to render the parent obsolete. The parent is only there to make the child and feed the child. And even in that case, no, the state will do it. You just make the babies, and then we'll take over at the time we think is right. And we'll take their entire education, and we'll decide what's best for them. And we will give them agency so they can act on their own, and you as a parent have no say. You become obsolete. You're gone. That is leftism. You can argue it with me. You can scream at me. You can yell at me. We've been proven right time and time again. But why give children agency? It becomes a very ugly conversation. Now, those of you who have been with me from the beginning, you may have heard me discuss this before. It's a really ugly conversation, but we're going to walk our way through it. If a child has agency, child can make decisions. First, it's about eliminating the concept of childhood, which no society thrives when you eliminate childhood. But when a child has agency, a child can make their own medical decisions, whether I get an abortion, whether I get mutilated by some doctor who claims to actually care. And if I can make my own health care decisions, I can then make other decisions. I can make decisions, for example, about who to love and how to love them. I put forth to you that as a guiding principle for these progressives in the idea of giving children agency, it was always so they could be abused in one way or another, including sexually. I apologize to no one. I can prove this by when the left says things, as Lin-Manuel Miranda did, that love is love is love is love is love is love is love, and he went on and on and on and on. I do not think Lin-Manuel Miranda, the creator of Hamilton and Newsies, great talent, I don't think he was advocating at all or in any way for children to be sexually abused. I just believe he never once understood what his words meant. Because love is not love, is not love, is not love, is not love. That's a lie. So the pablum line that Lin-Manuel Miranda put out there and getting all these cheers, like, that's right, love is love. No, it is not. And when we're talking about children, it absolutely isn't. And children have to be protected more often than not from themselves. And when you see adults proactively not protecting children, lucidly or otherwise, you have to ask what the end goal is of those people who want to do damage. And the end goal always ends up in the same horrifying spot. And that end goal is brought closer, or was brought closer, by those people who pushed the idea of gender-affirming care, which was always a lie. It was a fraud told by disgusting, despicable, low-rent, low-class people who wanted to abuse children. You wanted to mutilate children. I argue for many of them, they got a thrill out of abusing children, out of mutilating children. And you say to me, Tony, that's disgusting. Not as disgusting as actually mutilating children, which I think they got a thrill out of. Never, ever get angry with me for noticing what it is that they're doing. The thing that they hate more than anything is when you're honest. The thing they hate more than anything is when you speak up and speak freely. You want to talk about COVID vaccines? We don't allow anybody to talk about COVID vaccines. You want to question gender-affirming care? Well, you're just going to get these children killed. They're all going to commit suicide if you don't let us mutilate them. That's what they said, and it was always a lie. Every single time they said it, even when they still say it, they are liars. And I don't care if they're a doctor. I don't care if they're Lady Gaga. I don't care if it's your cousin. They're liars and they're frauds, and they are a danger if they're pushing the idea that children can decide their gender and mutilation is a value. Now that we've got that set, let's get into why it's a very bad week for Democrats. It's a bad week for Democrats because ICE isn't going anywhere. And yes, law enforcement is going to work with ICE in Minneapolis while they are desperate to defund Homeland Security, defund ICE, and they want to support the people engaged in violent attacks. Bad week. Bad week when you see that the people want those who are here illegally removed and they like the security of the border. It's a bad week when you realize that when it comes to the abuse of children, that there was a $2 million verdict. I've got the story here from National Review. A $2 million verdict was given to a 22-year-old who, when she was a child, her psychologist and her plastic surgeon said, oh yeah, you're a boy, and then mutilated her. For the abuse, for the lies, for the manipulation, she received $400,000 in future medical expenses and $1.6 million for pain and suffering. Some people used to talk about this as the walls are closing in. You remember in Trump's first term, and they were talking about impeachment and everything else. Every day there was something new. The walls are closing in. The walls are closing in. That was always an expression that they used. This is the start of the recognition of the abuse. And detransitioners, people like Chloe Cole and others, have been discussing for years the levels of pressure that were put upon them as children to engage in this horror. And those people guilty should be held responsible. And those doctors guilty shouldn't be allowed to practice medicine. They shouldn't be allowed to be near children. I think they should have to sign on a registry. You abused and mutilated children for your own desires. You don't get to live in my neighborhood. Then you have the American Medical Association and the Association of Plastic Surgeons. The American Society of Plastic Surgeons recommending delaying quote-unquote gender-affirming surgery until 19. Because it's wrong. Because kids don't know what they're doing. Because no rational person would ever want this for them. That leads us to the American Medical Association, which has stated in a statement to National Review that because the evidence for gender-affirming surgical intervention in minors is insufficient for us to make a definitive statement, the AMA agrees with the American Society of Plastic Surgeons that surgical interventions in minors should be generally deferred to adulthood. Ladies and gentlemen, we were right, and they were abusers all along. Every day we said this, and every day we took the attacks, and every day we were told we don't care about children. Every day we were right, and they were liars. And every day we fought for kids, and they looked for new ways to abuse kids. And every day they looked at us and said, why do you hate kids so much? Why won't you just let them play? You want me to vote for these people? Are you out of your holy damn mind? This is who they are. And today, with everything that we just shared, they will still tell you that somehow gender-affirming care is good. Gender-affirming care is a fraud. Gender-affirming care isn't a thing. Gender-affirming care is the Enron of medicine. You can't seriously believe that stuff. You can't seriously listen to that stuff. And if you don't push back on that, laugh in someone's face, or call them the lowlife so-and-so that I'm not allowed to say on radio, you're out of your mind. You're too weak to be a part of this conversation. And right now, we cannot have any weakness. These people have to be stopped. You have to protect your kids. And any lawmaker that wants to push this stuff has to be voted out of office. And any celebrity still pushing this stuff isn't good enough for your kids' ears or eyes. Maybe it's Lady Gaga, maybe it's somebody else. No. They're not Lady Gaga, your little monsters. Forgive my voice. They're not your little monsters. Mutilating them might turn them into such. But it isn't caring to want to mutilate children, to want to confuse children, to want to hurt children. I don't know why I picked just Lady Gaga. There's a million people to pick. This is a good day where maybe we turn the tide. We start saving some kids' lives and saving them from a life of holy hell torture. When the left comes back even stronger with something new, remember who these people are. Remember who they are. And we can't let them win for a second. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back. Oh, man. If I thought tea would work, but it's just so gross. Tea is so incredibly gross. You know what I find interesting? The trolls have nothing to say. I guess the truth has outed them, and now they're silent. Cool by me. Cool by me. Listen, Claudia. Let me say this to you and to X-Man. Tea is disgusting, And I apologize for nothing. For absolute zero, I apologize for. Just saying, it's gross. It is gross, and I want no part of it, and I apologize to no one. Thank you. I have spoken. Just looking some things up. All right. There we go. Good. Hold on a second. You can't listen to me talk about tea and then say, hey, you can get iced tea from McAllister's. It's still tea. Oh, we are not going to say poor things about a fine establishment that could be a future sponsor, producer Landon. What the hell's wrong with you? God. Sometimes it's hard to teach. It really is. Am I like, so here's the question. Whenever I have a voice issue, which I get around this time every year. Usually I only get it once. This is twice. When I have the voice issue, I'm certainly not as loud, not as dynamic. And there is a belief that somehow I am therefore more, it comes across as more mellow. Is that true? Like, do I seem like really melody right now? I don't know. Yeah, but no one would ever describe me as mellow. I'm not insane, but I'm definitely. Just a quick reminder of why people listen to Marco Rubio.
Chairman, he can't make unsubstantiated comments
Senator,
like that.
Secretary Rubio has the floor. You've had
Secretary
your time.
Rubio should take that testimony to the federal court of the
Senator,
United States because
well,
he hasn't done it under oath.
Here's another point, okay? There is a division in our government between the federal branch and the judicial branch. No judge in the judicial branch cannot tell me or the president how to conduct foreign policy. No judge can tell me how I have to outreach to a foreign partner or what I need to say to them. And if I do reach that foreign partner and talk to them, I have under no obligation to share that with the judiciary branch. Just like a judge cannot order me to negotiate with a foreign minister of Russia, they cannot order me to negotiate with a foreign minister or the president of El Salvador. And if I did negotiate with them, which we have responded to them, and we've told them we've had communications with the president of El Salvador, I am under no obligation under our division of powers in this country and to share with the judicial branch how I conducted diplomacy of the United States.
Excellent from the Secretary of State, Tony Katz. Tony Katz today, good to be with you. Let me say it again for the people in the cheap seats. Marbury v. Madison, we need to look at that again. This idea that we really think that the judiciary is some kind of co-equal branch, we got to look at that. But now we have a different subject going on where the judiciary thinks they can order around the executive and even the legislative. Nah. No. They don't have that power. And what I would like to see the Supreme Court do is relay that to all these other judges. Remember, the Constitution only lays out one court, and that's the Supreme Court. No other courts come from the Constitution. They all exist at the pleasure of Congress. And if they can be created, they can be taken away. I vote for less courts. I have heard other people say we should make many more, and therefore reduce the power of these judges. We certainly should get rid of these jurists who think that they're in charge because they wear a robe. They're not in charge of anything. Nothing. And all of this extrajudicial judicial work that they do, all this legislating from the bench, It needs to have people fired. That's what it has to lead to. And good on Rubio for setting it all straight. Oh, yeah. He's going to be a contender in 28. No question. This is Tony Katz today. All right. So we are in the radio break right now. So we will take our break right now. And with that, I will get something for the throat and we'll make it all better. So hang loose, smoke them if you got them. And I will be back. Keep it here, guys. Welcome back, Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. I had to make coffee. I wasn't going to drink tea, so you know. Oh, that's strong. Oh, that's hey. Whoo! That's strong. Flavorful. Oh, that's right. The left loses again. We will get into that subject. It's been a bad week. Bad week. And all on the culture stuff. I did not build a walk-in humidor. No, I didn't have the room for that. I thought about it. No, instead I have a tall standing humidor that holds 3,000 cigars. True story. I mentioned that it was a bad week for the political left. It was a bad week, culturally. A lot of subjects that they are relying on to get them victory in November kind of blown up in their faces. By the way, it just got announced that attempted Trump assassin Ryan Ralph sentenced to life in prison plus 84 months. This by Judge Aileen Cannon. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. That's Bill Malugin reporting via the Fox News team there in the courtroom. Well, you attempted to assassinate the presidential candidate, however you want to describe it. You're going to spend a lot of time in jail. A tremendous amount of time in jail. The calling for a lone wolf, the calling for someone to do damage to Trump still goes on. Still desired. These people don't stop. They don't rest. They don't quit. But the story of what has happened with the left this week needs to have its part 3. We started with part 1. Part 1 is you're seeing now a deal where law enforcement in Minneapolis and in Minnesota at large, they are going to be supporting Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, which is really the ask, right? Hand over the criminals. We'll take care of the rest. Stop thwarting us. Stop fighting us. When you do, we got to go on the streets. We got to find people. And we're going to find them. But the way you're doing it is just, well, you're creating more problems. It's like you want the problems. And then Bavino was moved out over there at Border Patrol. And Tom Homan was moved in. And what do you have now? You have I guess, a lot of good communication. And now you're going to have local law enforcement helping Immigrations Customs Enforcement. Good. Excellent. I'm thrilled to see it. Bad for the left. Because what they want, all they want, is to be able to engage a constant attack on the Department of Homeland Security. They want to be able to engage a constant attack against ICE, against President Trump. What they are interested in is creating division, not in any way solving a problem. You know this because you've heard from Hakeem Jeffries before.
6 appropriations bills should be divided. They rejected that notion. And I'm thankful for what Leader Schumer and Senate Democrats did, which is to draw a line in the sand and say, no, it's not going to go down that way. And that's why we're at this moment. So understand something. We get it over in the House. Mike Johnson and John Thune aren't working for the American people. They work for Donald Trump. And so many of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, they function like a wholly owned subsidiary of the Trump cartel. So at the end of the day, listen, Trump understands that the public is not cruel and chaotic policies here, and that we actually need to restore law and order as it relates to how we proceed. And we're ready to proceed in good faith.
No, you're not. You're Hakeem Jeffries. You're never ready to proceed in good faith. You're the guy who said that Kristi Noem should be put on ice permanently. What good faith, Hakeem Jeffries, do you have? By the way, I must object. I think it's wrong to refer to Hakeem Jeffries as Timu Obama. That is just downright rude. That is rude. That is wrong. That I can't say that I approve of such things. Thank you. Timu Obama. People are certainly funny. You are the ones not willing to work with law enforcement. You are the ones supporting those who engage in violent acts against law enforcement. And the people want local law enforcement to work with ICE and remove these people from the streets. You don't have an argument. If your argument is, well, we wanted the body cameras and we got them, well, that would have just been like, hey, we need body cameras. And we're like, okay, body cameras. And where was the real fight on that? What you want is to not have anything done. You want to have problems that you can run against as opposed to engaging solutions that you can run on. That's who you are. That's who the Democrats are. There's that subject. Didn't go great. Then you have what we were discussing regarding the Transanity. Lawsuits that are leading to $2 million judgments for children who were abused by their psychologists, by plastic surgeons, and by others who wanted to mutilate them, confuse them, tell them they're a boy when they're really a girl, tell them it's okay if they go through the surgery. Here, take these meds, take these puberty blockers. All of a sudden, you'll be happy, and they never get to happiness. You have the American Medical Association, starting with a story or a statement from the American Society of Plastic Surgeons saying this gender nonsense and these surgeries before the age of 19, this is not correct. This is not correct. We shouldn't do this. And the AMA said we're going to follow the guidelines of the American Society of Plastic Surgeons. And I stated earlier that any doctor who still believes in quote-unquote gender-affirming care is a doctor who believes in abusing patients, mutilating patients, and harming children. They shouldn't be allowed to be a doctor. And any med school that actually teaches this stuff should lose its accreditation. I think that universities should be very aware of what their med schools are doing. Because we're going to get to the point where it was, oh, you went to such and such a med school? No, you can't be my doctor. You're not qualified. You went to a med school that believes in abusing children? Not qualified. So that's two. Now we get to number three. Number three is the polling. Now you could say to me, hey, Tony, are you referring to the polling that shows that voters overwhelmingly back deportations and ICE? No, we were just talking about that, though. This is from legalinsurrection.com. This is a bit of polling that comes from a group called Signal, CYGNAL. Americans support deporting those in the country illegally by a 2-to-1 margin, 61% to 34%. 73% say entering the U.S. without legal permission is breaking the law. 54% want ICE enforcing federal immigration laws and removing illegal immigrants. 58% oppose defunding ICE, including majorities of independents and swing voters. Then you have another poll. 73% say coming here illegally is breaking the law. 61% support deporting illegals. 58% oppose defunding ICE, and 54% support ICE enforcing our immigration laws. So partially the same numbers here. These are the numbers, as I just read them. You see that Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer are on the wrong end of this. They are not listening to the will of the American people. Why would they? They only listen to the cabal that controls them. Every accusation is an admission. When they say, look at these Republicans who are controlled by the Trump cartel, it is Hakeem Jeffries who is controlled by the progressives. Lock, stock, and barrel. The only thing he is missing is the hand going straight up as, hey, how you doing? Creating the little puppet. But then there is this. Where it is the people are on voter ID. The big number 3. This is bad, bad news for Chuck Schumer, for Hakeem Jeffries, for Democrats who oppose the SAVE Act, who oppose the idea of voter ID. This is Harry Enton over there at CNN.
Take a look here. Favorite photo ID to vote. 85% of white people favor it. 82% of Latino. 76% of Black Americans favor it. So the bottom line is this. Voter ID is not controversial in this country. A photo ID to vote is not controversial in this country. It is not controversial by party, and it is not controversial by race. The vast majority of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj that, in fact, you should have a photo ID to be able to vote. So,
well, if we all have to now agree with Nicki Minaj, I don't know if I'd agree with Nicki Minaj about everything, but if she thinks that you need an ID to vote, she's correct. There is no debate here. The people who oppose voter ID favor the opportunity to cheat. They favor the opportunity for fraud. It's not to say that there will be fraud. It is that they favor the opportunity. Anyone who opposes a voter ID favors the opportunity to cheat, favors fraud. The people who say that a voter ID is racist, we should, as just for clarity, say how wrong and disgusting it is that racists like this speak so boldly. The people who say that getting a voter ID is racist are indeed the racists, because they believe that people who are Black and brown are somehow not capable of getting an ID. How insulting. Are Democrats that they think that people who are Black somehow are not capable of getting identification? That somehow in this instance they're not capable of using identification. Why do Democrats speak so poorly of people who are Black and people who are brown? Isn't it bad enough that Representative Ocasio-Cortez doesn't give a good holy damn about brown children because she hasn't been to the border in the 4 years that Biden was president, or at least play acting? She didn't go, she didn't cry, she didn't take photos that were staged, nothing. She didn't care. Because she doesn't care about brown children in cages. She doesn't care. She only cares that they're there as a photo op so she can build up some political capital and make some cash. That's all Representative Ocasio-Cortez cares about, not because I say so, but because she showed you so. America wants voter ID. America wants to remove illegal immigrants. America doesn't want children to be abused. That is a trifecta. And that explodes the cultural attack from the left on America. Whether it's the SAVE Act, SAVE, or whether it is some other piece of legislation, one must have an ID to vote, and that should be true in all 50 states. Why would I, a guy who believes in states' rights, and states prescribe the manner of voting, say such a thing? The why has to do with being disenfranchised. In one of the lawsuits that I believe that the Supreme Court absolutely should have heard in the 2000 election, I believe it was the state of Texas that sued the state of Pennsylvania, saying that the way they changed their voting through the judiciary, not through the legislature, and allowed for votes to be counted after the due date, after the election day, that was disenfranchising the voters of Texas. I thought it was a very interesting argument. Now, what would the Supreme Court have said? I would like to have heard, but they weren't willing to hear the case. I believe it was Alito and it was Clarence Thomas, and I'm paraphrasing them together here. If we're not going to hear this case, what the hell are we here for? What exactly do we do around here if we're not going to hear that? if California is allowing people to vote without an ID, and therefore we cannot prove that only citizens are voting, then California is disenfranchising the voter in Oklahoma and in Missouri and in Indiana and in Florida and name the place. That's happening. And that cannot be allowed. And that's why we have to have voter ID in all 50 states. That's why somebody has to check it and look at your face. That's why we need to make sure poll workers are trained to do exactly that. And poll workers who don't do that need to immediately be removed. We need to ensure the vote. And America wants it insured. So why are we listening to Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer? Forget them. Who cares what they want? Who cares what they think? Who cares what they scream about Jim Crow?
These people.
I'm sorry, what was that?
F these people.
That's what I thought you said. Let's just go about doing better. Push right by these people. Now, that's going to lead to a question of whether or not that means we have to strike the filibuster. Oh, holy heck. Maybe. I can't even believe I'm saying it, but maybe. We should talk more about it. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, Tony Katz. Tony Katz Today. Let's see what else I've got. No more Hakeem Jeffries. That's right. Oh, RFK talking about the eating habits of Donald Trump. It's so funny. It's so ridiculous. And where do I have? Trump had a rendering of the ballroom. No, there you go. Sorry. Yeah, I was muted. Sorry. Has anybody noticed the total lack of trolls today? Have they moved on? Perhaps. Perhaps. There we go. Coming back to the show. So President Trump, over there on his Truth Social, he put out an image, a rendering of the new ballroom. The beautiful building will be, when complete, the much anticipated White House ballroom, the greatest of its kind ever built. What else is he going to say? It is a rendering from the Treasury building directly across the street and replaces the very small, dilapidated, and rebuilt many times East Wing with a magnificent new East Wing consisting of a glorious ballroom that has been asked for by presidents for over 150 years. Being an identical height and scale, it is totally in keeping with our historic White House. So that's what he's doing. Actually building what looks like a quasi White House 2.0. Not just a wing. It's massive. And it's got the columns and the full architecture. This is the first rendering shown to the public. If you'll notice, the north wall is a replica of the north facade of the White House, shown at the right-hand side of the picture. The space will serve our country well for hopefully centuries into the future. First things first. First things first. Holy crap, that's big. Like that's way bigger than I think people thought. It's way bigger than I thought. Secondly, and I just want to be clear about this. Okay. What? Oh, am I supposed to get worked up about this? I was just sipping my coffee. I didn't realize I was supposed to get worked up about this. Ooh, I'm so angry. Ooh. Was that it? Was that enough? No? This is a threat to all civilization. Nope, that sounded dumb too. That sounded ridiculous. Trump's a fascist. Nope. Still stupid. It's a remodel. And this ballroom thing is more than just a ballroom. It's the idea that the White House was not able to do events and safety and security. They would rather have it there on the grounds. I do appreciate the people who say that I don't know if I want the opulence. Maybe the point is that that's not what America does. That's not how we should portray things. I would argue that I can agree with that. Let me tell you, if I was president, all the gold in the Oval would come down. All of it. The auto pen picture, that would stay up. But all the gold, all the filigree and everything else would come down. There is something to be said about safety and security and how we do these things and how we do these events. And presidents have events. And you do need the space. Okay, this is a little big. I ain't gonna lie. But it'll be part of what we are. I think we'll all be all right. I'm Tony Katz. Oh, my freaking voice. Goodness gracious. I don't know the answer to that question. me get to these things right here just to get ready for what's next. That. Okay, we've got this right here. That and that. Let me see where else I am. Okay, there's that. Come on. There we go. Should be right there. And we're good. No, this right here too. Okay. Oh, did you hear that? Man, that sucks. I would talk more normally, but whew. Good Lord, not easy. So I'm saving it all for the show. You know, I was saying that we were that we didn't have any trolls in the chat room. And well, Loch Ness Monster here just proved me wrong. Yeah, we're just going to say goodbye to you right there. That's just all gone. All gone. All right, coming back. I've got 3 more things, and then I've got more than that. Not cool. And I'm supposed to be on Newsmax at like 5:30. I do not know how that's going to work. Three more things. There is a lot going on today, including the Washington Post layoffs. Earlier today, Tony Katz today, good to be with you. People who work at the Washington Post got an email. The email was from the publisher. I think it was from the publisher. And from the head of HR. And the letter basically read, and I'm paraphrasing here, hey, stay home. We're going to have a Zoom meeting. What? Oh, yeah. We're going to have a Zoom meeting. The executive editor, Matt Murray, and the HR chief send out this email. Stay home. We're going to get everybody together on Zoom. Now, if you're not in newspaper business or in the media business, you might be like, okay, that's weird. If you have ever worked in any kind of corporate setting, you know immediately, oh, they're going to start laying people off. This has been rumored. This has been discussed. The plan, as now employees were informed, was to lay off a significant portion of its staff. According to Jeff Stein, the chief economics correspondent for the Post, this is a tragic day for American journalism, the city of Washington, and the country as a whole. I'm grieving for reporters I love and whose work upheld the truest, most noble callings of the profession. They are being punished for mistakes they did not cause. Now remember that the Washington Post was purchased by Jeff Bezos in 2013. Bezos hired a different management team in 2024, trying to get the paper to stop being so outrageously left, even though definitely left, start engaging different opinions, trying to disrupt the culture. So newspapers have lots of problems as it is. Now you're trying to change the culture of progressives who only want to move narrative and not news. And here it is. So these cuts got announced. And then shortly after the call, employees start getting emails about whether or not they were affected. So the international desk, as we had heard about, is going to be affected. And their daily podcast, Post Reports, is getting cut. They cut the podcast. Now, hold on a second. They cut the podcast. What? You mean you cut something that was digital? You mean your podcast wasn't even working? Oh, that's a bad scene right there. The Washington Post Guild has said, stating that the paper has shrunk their workforce by approximately 400 people in the last 3 years. The union is upset with Bezos because he's no longer willing to invest in the mission, they write, that has defined this paper for generations and served the millions who depend on Post journalism. So now the push is going to be on for Bezos to sell the paper to somebody who will give them all the money and not care about results. That brings us to this. I did not see this story at all. Don't know where I missed it, but I clearly missed it. Chinese-linked biolab discovered in Las Vegas home. SWAT officers serve a search warrant. So this takes place over last weekend. This is on the east side. What's the tip? A biolab is operating in the home. Now, I got to assume that when people heard biolab, they immediately went to Breaking Bad and said, wait a second, that's supposed to be in New Mexico. And someone thought meth. Police enter, and more than 1,000 pieces of evidence located in a locked garage with, quote, potential biological and hazardous materials. The story becomes more interesting that the home is owned by Jia Beiju. Jia Beiju, I think it's Jia, it might be J-I-A, is in federal custody. Why? The discovery of an unauthorized biolab in Reedley, California in 2023. Arrested in that case on federal charges that he manufactured and distributed misbranded medical devices, including tests for COVID-19, pregnancy, and HIV, without the proper permits and made false statements to the FDA. I'm going to say this again for the people in the cheap seats. Number one, some cultures are incompatible with American culture. And number two, you cannot allow Chinese nationals to own land in the United States. That has to stop. You cannot own land. You cannot own businesses. The answer is no. Don't want to hear it. Don't care if you're happy. Don't care if you're angry. Don't care if you call me a bigot. Blah, 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 blah. When you come to work at the labs we have at universities, you're bringing in things with you stuffed into your socks that could kill a lot of people. That certainly is questionable material. We've seen this. Now this, how many more of these are out there? How many more of these do we have to figure out? How many more of these do we think we should allow into the country? Because I would say 0. And so the president is wrong when he says we should still be allowing student visas from China. Absolutely not. He's wrong. Donald Trump is wrong. There it is. And another example of being able to say that the president is wrong and yet somehow still be able to stand upright. You can't let these people in the United States. You're out of your mind if you do. I have no interest in pretending that somehow I'm going to care if someone calls me a xenophobe. What does it matter to me? They're willing to let people die. These people who refuse to call things out for what they are. Thankfully, we have Scott Bessent, who is not afraid to call things out for what they are.
10 and 20 million immigrants.
Can you
took
shut
up the
up?
housing stock of working Americans, and can you maintain some level of dignity?
Gentleman's time has expired.
Bessent and Maxine Waters going back and forth in a hearing today as the Treasury Secretary is testifying, and she doesn't like that he's answering the question and wants him to stop talking and says, can you get him to shut up? To which he responds,
10 and 20 million immigrants
Can you
took
shut
up the
up?
housing stock of working Americans, and can you maintain some level of dignity?
Gentleman's time has expired.
can you maintain some level of dignity? That is just so great. That is just so good. Scott Bessent doesn't disappoint. And here again, he doesn't disappoint. But you know what? I haven't heard this whole clip yet. So how about, just in case, finger on the dump button there, Producer Landon?
I take that as a no. You do not want to answer that question. I take that as a no.
For a $7 billion.
I'm asking you to do your responsibility as Secretary of the Treasury. You do not. Will you?
Time has expired.
You cannot erase what you did in 2000.
He's the one that went past your time, Mr. Chairman.
No, and
he did not answer my question, and he wouldn't pass the time.
Gregory Meeks is pretty angry. Oh, a lot of yelling there. Do they think this makes them look good? Listen, in all these questions that are asked of cabinet secretaries or anybody else, when the member of Congress asking the question is only interested in the question asked and not the answer received, I don't know if it makes anybody look good. It's all just such a clown show. And people look at this stuff and they're like, how does anything get done?
He had 6 seconds left to try to answer your question, and
it was a yes or no. It was a yes or no answer. I asked him, Willie, no, was that yes or no?
The OCC is an independent.
Stop covering for the president. Stop being his flunky.
And
stop being his flunky. And now Maxine Waters wants to try and calm everybody down.
Gentlemen.
He's talking to me. I'm responding back to him.
2006 trip to Venezuela.
Stop covering for the president. Don't be a flunky. Work for the American people.
On behalf.
Yep. That went great. But so much of these hearings, I mean, that's clearly what it's all about, right? What soundbite can you get? What clip can you get? And then how do you use it for your fundraise? But maybe the news of the day is this. This is, I believe, Massachusetts. It's an elementary school classroom. That is children 6 years old. I don't know. People watching the live stream, how old are those kids? How old do you think they are? And they're holding signs that they made, pieces of paper that they decorated, and they like glued it to like a popsicle stick, it looks like. And there's 7 or 8 kids, boys and girls. They're like 6. They look like kindergartners, but it could be first grade for all I know. And they're chanting, "No Donald Trump! No Donald Trump! No Donald Trump!" They're chanting, "No Donald Trump." No Donald Trump! No Donald Trump! No Donald Trump! No Donald Trump! If you think that's okay in a school classroom, I don't think I can respond on radio. That is not education, that is indoctrination, as we have been discussing for years. We need to break the teachers union in two. We need to stop funding these schools. We need to fire these teachers and then not allow them near children. This is abuse. This is indoctrination. This is the kind of stuff that you would see from 1970s Soviet Union. Not what you would expect in the United States, and we have to stop it. Today. This is Tony Katz today. Producer Landon was asking a very, very good question. This voice. Sorry. And we're talking about those kids chanting and marching around. And his question was, how do parents not respond to this and say, we don't allow this. We're not going to do this. What are you doing? You can't do this to my kid. You stop it right now. In some cases, it's total agreement. They're virulent leftists. They're Karens. They're awfuls, right? They're liberal white women, all the rest. And they agree with this stuff. But in other cases, and Landon's a Gen Z, he's got time before there's a family in his life and everything else. you will be surprised how many people don't actually pay attention to what their kids are learning. They pay no attention. They're not focused. Almost as if they can't be bothered. Oh, no. I've got work to do. Oh, I've got a game to watch. Oh, I've got that. I can't be bothered with that. A good parent can always be bothered. Now, sometimes you choose not to start a fight over here because you're going to keep your powder dry for something else because you know how to counteract that. Right? I've done that before. But this is propaganda insanity. And anybody who believes in funding teachers' unions after that is insane. And anybody who believes that teacher is a professional is out of their minds. And that's where parents have to get aggressive. And this is why school boards want to designate parents as domestic terrorists for asking questions. They're protecting their money. They're protecting their fiefdom. That's what's happening. And that's why we need to break the union in two. There's an airplane flying overhead. That was crazy. What was that? Or a truck drove by. Something happened. That or an earthquake. There should be some fallout for this. Is anyone following this to see what's been done with that teacher? Has she been fired yet? I don't know. I do not know. But I'd like to see her fired. My voice is not because, that sound was a shipment of my cigars. Oh, I thought you were saying I smoked too many cigars. My cigars appear via white glove treatment. They would never come in that rough. I almost felt like it was gossipy. So I have not engaged the story of Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Savannah Guthrie, who is the host of the Today Show, Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. It's not your radio. Just losing my voice. It'll all be good. It is such a horrifying freak show of a story where Savannah Guthrie's mother, 84, goes missing in Tucson. Missing from her home. There's a trail of blood. Then there's word that a ransom note was sent to TMZ. Savannah Guthrie was supposed to be covering the Winter Olympics, which start in, days. She's not going. Her mother is missing. The story is nuts. Absolutely crazed. Now, there's a lot of rumors going on right now about who could be involved and is there a suspect? Is there a family relationship to a possible suspect? I do not know. I'm not getting into that. But I am curious as to whether or not people in media are paying closer attention to this story. Because once you hear ransom note, if you are anybody in the public eye, especially at the level of someone like Savannah Guthrie, if you are somebody connected in that way, are you now saying, wait a second, are you saying that now my family is at risk of kidnap so someone can get some cash? Is this a thing now? This is frightening. This is concerning. I talk about people on the political right. Everybody is under threat. If you do any kind of public-facing thing, whether it's this level, higher level, just post on Facebook, somebody doesn't like it, somebody's going to come at you. We've seen this. It's an absolute concern. This is something very different. Going after your family. But we don't even know if that's what this is. And that's what makes this story even more, if you will, frightening. We don't know what happened yet. And when we get to it, I'll share it with you. Keep it here. It's Tony Katz Today. So there's a lot of scuttlebutt there, Ann, and I don't know what's true yet. That's what we got to figure out. So here's the deal. Well, I went full Joe Biden right there. The show will continue at WIBC.com. We're going to put away the live stream for now. Don't forget, get your tickets. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. It's not January 24th. It's February 28th. February 28th. Trump 1 year and 1 month later. The Red Tie Gala, the bourbon, the food. We're going to take a look at the last year and 1 month and how we're going to win the midterms, because there is absolutely a path. 100%. Get your tickets. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. Come join me. My voice will be fine. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. Be there for the show. It's going to be amazing. And to answer some questions. Oh, yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. I'm on Newsmax this evening at 5:30. I will absolutely be back tomorrow. And for anybody asking any specific questions about some things happening locally in Indianapolis, I'm only going to say this. Earlier in 2025, or I should say towards the end of 2025, I signed a 2-year deal. That's what I did. I expect to be back tomorrow and the next day. And the day after that. That's all I got. With that, you are appreciated very, very much. Can't thank you enough for being here. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you tomorrow, everyone. Take care.